Hello team, today's challenge is Schema Validator Part 3, which means that this is the third day that we've seen this Schema Validator challenge. Each day they've added just a little bit more. We started out with a single string, then we started out with a few different basic variable types, right? String, number, and Boolean. And now they are adding this options, right? It can be any of these. So in this case, they've made the pipe symbol the or. We're going to have to change that because JavaScript doesn't really like that. But it can be any of these options. If we were using TypeScript, it would actually recognize that or, so that is available to you. But here we are not. We're doing it from scratch. So we're going to have to do a little bit more, right? Over here in the part 2, right? This is the yesterday's solution. We finished with this. And I'm going to start with this because why would I type it out from scratch when I already have it? But more importantly, here's what we have, right? Username post verified, that's all stuff here. Username post verified. So that's all the same. And we pass that in as our default schema because we want to be able to pass in any schema at any point, right? The first thing that we do is make sure that this object being passed in is actually an object and not null, right? Because null, the type of null is of all things object, right? That's one of those quirks in JavaScript. So if it's not an object or it is null, we throw an error. Could we return something else? Yeah, well, I mean, we could just return false, right? It doesn't line up. But I've chosen to throw an error. And then down here, we go through all of the keys in schema. So username, post verified, each one of them, each and every one of them, making sure that they are in the object and making sure that the type of that object matches the schema value, right? So today we need to add our new data, which is roles, okay? Now, up here, we need to change some things because unfortunately JavaScript does not recognize this this pipe character, at least not the way that we want it to, right? When it's a single pipe character like this, it is a bitwise OR, and bitwise ORs only work with numbers, right? Either numbers or big ints. That's where this bitwise OR comes into play. We need something else. Now we could at least you might think, sorry, we can't do this, but you might think that, okay, we'll just change it to the double. We'll change it to the logical OR. The problem with this is that this is already truthy, right? We haven't done a comparison against user. So having an OR in here, nothing else, like if we changed all of these to the double OR, so going here, grabbing a couple of them just to keep it solid, brilliant. This is never going to work either because as soon as we do a comparison, it's going to say, hey, that first item, is that truthy, right? In fact, roles will default to true because it checks the first and the first is true. So it just returns true, right? So this doesn't get us any iterative ability, right? It returns the first true or it returns false if none of them are true. And a string with actual characters in it is always truthy. So we would get true, okay? To that end, I'm going to change it to an array, right? That seems pretty logical. We're going to go and grab these back, just like this, changing them to a comma, and then going right to the start and turning it into a proper variable, okay? With this, we have our options list, okay? And we're passing that down. That should actually be in here. It's going to be role is of type roles, capital R, roles, just like this. Excellent. So role is of type roles, and we can check that, okay? That happens inside of our every statement, inside of our callback, okay? So here we check if schema key, we're going to grab that and use it here. So the array.isArray schema key, if it is, then we return, right? So we just return schema key.includes object key. Brilliant. And it should work. It absolutely does. We could leave it here. It is enough for today's challenge. But I have a sneaking suspicion since they've done Schema Validator 1, 2, and now today part 3. There's probably going to be a part 4, maybe even a part 5, because we have not done nested objects. So getting a key in here and having it be maybe something like address, right? And then we have address 1 like this as a string, and then address 2, city, postal code, zip code, all that stuff, right? We could do all that stuff. So we still need to work out how to do objects. And more importantly, we need to figure out how to do arrays that have objects inside of them, right? So there's this extra thing coming that we haven't touched on. So for today, I would say right here, this is a good start, but I would finish this by adding an extra conditional, okay? And that looks like this. If schema key, which I still have, dot every, okay? So we're gonna go that element, we're gonna make sure that type of element equals string, right? Because each one of these things up here in roles, it's a string, right? So making sure that that's a string, and then coming down here, boosting this up, cleaning it up, it still works, but now it's a little bit safer. Because if they pass in something else, right? Or if we get a schema array, right? A list of options inside of our schema that is not all strings, well, then we go to our default comparison. And regardless of what the schema key is, if it's an array, if it's an object, it's probably never going to equal object key, right? Whatever that is, whatever that value is, which means that it should return false. So the fall through is perfect, okay? This is where I'm going to leave it today, but I fully expect them to come back tomorrow or sometime in the future where they give us nested objects or some sort of specialized arrays of objects, right? Maybe we're doing Pokemon cards, right, as an example, and we'll need to figure out how to iterate over an array of data, right? And how to make that work inside of our schema as well, okay? And that's it. That's it for today. So again, we added the roles. We did have to change them because JavaScript kind of works like this. If we were working in TypeScript, we could absolutely set that up as just a regular type with those ORs. TypeScript loves that, right? But because we aren't using TypeScript, we have to do it a slightly different way, which means changing the data a little bit. But once we're down in here, it all just kind of comes together. So we check to see if that schema key, the value of that schema key is an array. If it is, we make sure that object key is in schema key, right? So a little bit of extra stuff, but hopefully it's making sense. With that, we can wrap it up today, right? Again, not every solution, just hopefully one good solution. Again, fully expecting to see part 4 maybe tomorrow, right? So that's coming, maybe, right? We'll have to see. Until then, let me know in the comments. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you find it interesting? Did you go a different way? Let me know all that stuff in the comments. Otherwise, today this has been Schema Validator Part 3, and I will see you tomorrow.